Here at Ideal, we love to modify cars. Take a car we already love and make it our own. Slam it to the ground or jack it up to the sky. Maybe squeeze it for a little more power, or just add a sweet sounding exhaust. We're all for it. But unfortunately, sometimes people modify their cars in ways that actually hurt performance. And that's just not ideal. So today on Blinker Fluid, we're hitting you with 7 terrible mods that are killing your car's performance. And frankly, need to stop. Let's get into it. Good, high-quality performance intake systems are awesome. They make your engine sound incredible. Especially if you've got a turbo or a supercharger. And normally, they're good for adding a few ponies under the hood. But that's not always the case. The short ram intakes that replace the factory airbox are more often than not hot air intake systems, unless they're properly designed. Those aftermarket high-flow drop-in panel filters, you know, from like AEM or K&N, well, those are good, except it's really easy to over-oil them during service. And that can spell disaster for your mass airflow sensor and your intake air temp sensor. How about the traffic cone air intake? No. Nope, just no. Okay, it probably actually did up power on the dyno by a little bit. But guys, don't run without a filter. The dust and dirt will kill your engine over time. Plus, all the construction workers are gonna wonder where you got it. Go for a real cold air intake instead. Just know that some engines have highly tuned intake manifolds, and changing the intake might shift your power band around a little bit. You might throw down bigger numbers on the dyno, but you could actually be losing power in parts of the rev range. Do the research on your specific car. They see me rolling, they hatin'. Yeah, I agree. Sick looking wheels are one of the best upgrades you can do. Whether you're like me and prefer that OEM Plus look, or you wanna run something aftermarket. They upgrade your looks and done correctly, upgrade your ride too. That seems pretty ideal to me. What's not so ideal is when you A, bolt up a heavier wheel and tire package, or even worse, B, when you start playing around with the overall diameter. A heavier wheel increases unsprung weight. That's the amount of weight that can't be controlled by your suspension. So your springs and shocks have to work way harder, ruining your ride and decreasing your handling stats. And changing the overall diameter effectively changes your gearing. Pretty much no one ever swaps to a smaller overall setup.
But Trav, I downsized from 19-inch to 16-inch wheels.
Yeah, but bro, you increased your overall sidewall, which made it even bigger than stock.
Bro, I hate it when you're right.
You call that acting?
But see, don't be like Brad, because you're ultimately giving your ride longer gears, which you're gonna feel at the stoplight drag strip and at the gas pump. Just ask the Jeep guys who bolt on 44s and don't change their final drives. Now, if you don't mess with the weight and diameter too much, especially for a street car, you're probably gonna be just fine. My advice is keep the circumference as close to stock as possible. And if you can, find a set of wheels that saves you weight. Suspension really matters. I'd be lying if I told you I never cut some stock springs and changed nothing else, just to get that oh so sweet flush look we all know and love. Thing is, that's not the right way to do it. It'll make your car handle worse, and it's arguably unsafe. Look, it's simple. If you want to change your ride height, invest in a decent suspension setup. These days you can buy a pretty affordable cup kit consisting of lower and stiffer springs and shocks that match those spring rates. Or you can go for a coilover kit. Even the very cheapest coilover kit is probably better than just chopped up stock parts. Maybe. And while most cheap coilover kits tend to ride like hot garbage, most of the time you can dial them in to go down the road pretty okay. Trust me guys, I've had a lot of cars with a lot of different suspension setups. From Racelins and BCs to motion control and OLEDs. 3 different H&R Bielstein Cup kits, and 2 different air ride setups from Airlift and AccuAir. Truth is, with suspension, you get what you pay for. So, go for the best possible setup you can afford. Look, there's a time and a place for playing with how your car cuts through the air. Out on track, proper aero is essential for making your car stable at speed. But on the street, where most of us spend 99% of our time with our cars, at best, a big wing, a hood scoop, and a couple canards make you stand out just that much more to the state patrol. And at worst, you're actually losing performance. Typical aero mods, if they're working properly, are designed to increase drag, which forces your car down into the pavement to help control any unwanted lift. But at freeway speeds, they aren't doing anything but sapping some power. And hey, sometimes they look cool, and that's all right. I can't hate on aero too much here, considering I just got done bolting a massive wing to the back of the R8. Stance kids. Okay, sometimes it just looks sick. And if that's your thing, there's nothing wrong with that. But you should know lowering your car way too much and adding insane amounts of negative camber isn't doing you any favors, except maybe on your Instagram. Your car's suspension needs room to move and to do its job. And while adding some negative camber, like 3 or 4 degrees, can make your car handle better, even that slight amount will change straight line stability. And by the time you get to stance works angles, I mean, performance is out the window. And don't even get me started on how hard all that is on your wheel bearings and suspension. But hey, your car, you do you.
Dude, where's my car? Where's your car, dude?
Cheap, plug-and-play flash tunes. Guys, these things aren't real. There are literally hundreds of devices on eBay and Amazon that claim to give you 20, even 30 horsepower and better mileage for around $100. They claim you just plug it into the OBD port and boom, instant performance. In reality, these things just don't work. They're just plastic little boxes with enough circuitry in them to make an LED flash and maybe give you a placebo effect.
Placebo.
Placebo.
Proper ECM or PCM tuning is by far the most effective way to increase performance, especially if your car uses forced induction. But a real tune isn't $100 or less. At the very least, expect to pay around $350. And my advice, engine tuning isn't something you want to get wrong. So save your pennies and go with a reputable tuner that really can not only give you better performance, but maintain or even increase drivability. It's one of those areas where you've just gotta pay to play. Unless of course you know how to do it yourself. I'm in the process of learning how to do it properly right now. All right, number 7, the last one on our list. Using race spec oils in your non-race car. See, out on track, it's pretty common for people to run specialized race spec engine oil. These are normally highly developed, much thicker, heat and wear resistant fluids designed to protect your engine under the absolute harshest conditions. But running VR1 or Liqui Moly Race Tech, which are like 1060 and 2050 weight oils in your lightly tuned BRZ, isn't gonna do anything but cost you extra money for the oil, lose you a few horsepower, and strike a few miles per gallon off your infotainment system. Racing oils definitely make sense for dedicated track work, or even cars that spend a lot of time out on track near the limit. But for a street car, doing a pull with your buddy on the freeway now and again does not warrant running anything above and beyond just whatever your manufacturer recommends. Use a high quality full synthetic of the correct weight with the correct certification, and don't think about it. So, there we have it. 7 common mods that murder your car's performance. How do we do with this one, guys? Have you ever done any of these mods? How'd that work out for you? I'll be reading and responding to the comments down below, so I'd love to hear your thoughts. Go check out the Ideal Car Strategies, go check out the Ideal Car store, bookmark the blog for the next time you're sitting on the toilet and need something to read. I've been Trav, this is Blinker Fluid here on Ideal Cars. I'll see you guys in the next one.